Welcome, everyone, to the 60 Seconds of Stoicism podcast, the only podcast on the internet that's 60 seconds long but lasts for a half hour. I am your host, Ryan Lee Mays, the creator and author of the Octot program, and with me is my wife, Melinda.
Hey guys, hope you're having a good evening out there.
All right, we're going to have a kind of fun topic tonight, but also one that's kind of not enjoyable to talk about. I know that kind of seems like a conundrum there, but we're going to talk about exercise tonight. I know. Exercise is not something that people typically talk about with a lot of fondness, but we want to talk about it, and specifically from the perspective of Stoicism and philosophy, and kind of just go into those things that are, important for helping us feel better about ourselves. So we're going to look at some philosophical quotes tonight and kind of piece by piece go through it. So first question, you ready? Right off the bat. Why is exercise so hard for us to do?
Oh, well, let me just speak for myself. For me, it's time. And not enough time in the day. I feel like everything else is the priority. So that's one for me right now.
Yeah, I think time, obligations are another thing. And we're going to talk a little bit later in this episode about the things that keep us from exercising. But obligations, trying to make sure you can get to everything, and you kind of subconsciously make this system of what's the most important and what do I need to knock out first. And exercise usually gets pushed down the ladder to I can kind of get to that if I have some time, but that's not the intention today. I need to take care of the other things. So
yeah, and you're right about systems, because if you and I don't have systems in place, which we had to kind of press on a little bit more this week, it seemed like, because then everything else would take over. Kids asking for this last minute, or someone asking us to do something else, or we're trying to work on something at home, or something that has to do with work. So yeah, it's putting systems in place.
And the systems work when you schedule exercise. And I know a lot of people don't, but for us, we need to know when we're going to do it, what days we're going to do it, how long we're going to do it, and where it's going to take place at. Because if we don't, it won't happen. Exactly. We'll prioritize other things, and that's not good. So let's start off with our first quote. So we're actually going to go back to ancient Greece. We're going to go back to Socrates. This is a quote I use in my book. "No man has the right to be an amateur in the matter of physical training. It is a shame for a man to grow old without seeing the beauty and strength of which his body is capable." There are a lot of people that have never seen themselves healthy. Maybe from the time that they're a child, and we know childhood obesity is an epidemic in this country, with good reason, and we'll touch a little bit on that later on. But these children grow up obese. I was definitely a heavy-set child. When I got into my teens, I thinned out more. I started exercising more and weightlifting. And then as I got older, it came back again. And so I did get to see a little bit of myself, as Socrates put it, in that realm where I had strength and I was very healthy. But now I see myself as a person that needs a lot of help. And I find that help not only in faith, but in philosophy to get me back on track for that. So let's talk for just a second of not exercising being shameful. Have you ever felt shameful that you don't exercise?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's more of because how I, seeing everybody else being in shape and being able to wear certain things. And I'm like, I got to hide my body in the summer. I don't want to go swimming. So, I think because I see how everybody else looks, it made me feel like, because I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah, I've felt that obviously my whole life. So I'm going to have a little bit of honesty here right now. I got bullied pretty heavily in junior high and high school. And one of the big reasons was because of my weight at the time. And, they would call me names and push me around and things like that. So big men out there, you know what I'm talking about. The long black t-shirt is your best friend, right? The black slimming t-shirt. And that becomes your best friend, and you kind of find your comfort in that. But we don't want to do that anymore. We want to break out from those things. So, yeah, there can be some shame definitely associated with that. Not maybe being healthy, but specifically with exercise. And I'll tell you, I've had a moment where I've been in the grocery store and one of these, and I say this with all affection, one of these rock jocks come in from the gym and they've got their biker shorts on and their muscle tee and they're ripped, and in their cart they've got yogurt and some granola and cucumbers. And then I look down at my cart and I'm like, wow, my food contains none of the things that are in your cart. So that is the former me. I am trying to be the healthier me now. And now I find myself doing that. And I don't look down on people that have that stuff in their cart, but I'm just like, I'm glad that I'm moving away from that and finding some more healthier routines for that. So
no, everything you just said, women do the same thing, you know. So yeah. I've been there.
Absolutely. Let's think of a time. Think of a time when you were the most fit in your life. You have to identify a time, and I'll do the same. But how did you feel? How was your mental space at that time? How did you feel about yourself?
I felt more free.
Like what time specifically?
So, I mean, before I had kids.
Okay.
And honestly, really, it wasn't even until after I had my second daughter. That's when it really started to kind of hit, and I wasn't losing it as quick. But, you know, up to that point, like, I was on point with my health, and I felt more energetic, and I felt more free, and I could move quicker. And so, yeah, it was before I had, before I had kids, and then right about my second daughter.
So that's an interesting point, because family and relationships complicate things a lot when it comes to exercise. I think when you're alone, when you're single, you can find space for yourself. You can find time for yourself. Even though you live a busy life, you can still find time to get away. When you're in a relationship or when you're having a family, you've got people to take care of. You can't really be in a relationship and not spend time with the other person. So when you have those busy days and you have to choose between exercising or spending time with a significant other, most of the time, as long as you like them, you'll spend your time with a significant other and you won't exercise.
And that's what it is. Like, when I started to have kids, it became more about the kids and not myself. I had more time for me. But, and it's not a bad thing having a family, but it's just priorities change. And, you're in a partnership with someone, it's not just about you. It's also like, what do they have going? You want to be a part of that. Does that partner work out sometimes, or do they, work out excessively? Like,
do they pull you away? From that intentionally?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It could be either or. It could be excessive, or it could be not at all. And then again, just, having kids, it's, it's all about them and having to cook dinner and do homework and just, like you said, things that just pull you away from it. Yeah. Yeah.
No, I agree with you completely. So my point in time was when I was in my very early 20s, 20, 21, 22. I'm not going to say this is embarrassing, because there's nothing wrong with being a wrestler, professional wrestler, but I really wanted to be a professional wrestler. I had a friend that had a ring built in his backyard. His brother used it to practice boxing, but, it was fun. And so I wanted to do that, and I started lifting weights, and I mean not just a day or two. I lifted weights 6 days out of the week, which is also not good for you. You do need time to rest. And I would do it for 3 or 4 hours. I worked a late shift at my job. I'd get off at 12, and I'd work till 3 a.m., 4 a.m. in the morning. I built a gym in my backyard. My neighbors probably weren't so happy with the clanking weights at 3 o'clock in the morning, but I did it, and I pushed myself, and I dropped so much weight. It was dramatic. I gained muscle. People were making comments about how good I looked, and I was really a good ego boost, and it felt good, and I felt freer, and I could move better and breathe better, and I could run a mile, and all those things that I can no longer do, but I'm trying to get back to. And then I got in a relationship. I actually started a band. First of all, there's another relationship with bandmates, but I started a band, and then I started dating somebody, and then that exact thing happened. It started pulling away. That person even said, you don't have time to see me when you're doing that. So then I was like, well, I can skip the workout, I guess, tonight. Only do 5 nights a week, which turned into 3, which turned into 2, which turned into none. And that's kind of how it happened. So maybe, how do we strategize against that? How do we let outside forces keep us from not exercising, not paying attention to our health? That goes to family and relationships.
putting boundaries on even your own family. And I know that sounds horrible, but we just have to let our kids and other people outside just say, hey, I no doesn't mean no. It means no right now, but so that I can say yes later. I have a system, coming up with that system for me and you, and saying, hey guys, this is what we're really trying to work on. And I think that if they care about us, they'll respect that. So systems, boundaries, and communication.
Yeah. We have a friend named Matt, and I love what he does. He schedules a time, and he announces it to everybody. And he says, between the time of 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. on Tuesday and Thursday, I cannot be reached. So anything you need, the other times I'm available, come do it. But between those times, I am offline. And you kind of have to set that, in order to make sure that you're hitting those systems that you want to do. So
yeah, and we care about him, so we respect that.
Absolutely.
Unless it's an emergency.
Very good. I want to read a Musonius Rufus quote. So I love Rufus so much when it comes to health and exercise and weight loss, and he has all kinds of great advice for it. It's kind of funny because he will very blatantly tell you how he feels. It's not sugar-coated. It's not something that is going to come off very easy to you. He's just like, look, don't do this. Don't eat too much. Don't be a glutton. Don't be foolish enough to take too much. So it's good advice. But he offers some advice here kind of overall in life. He says, if you accomplish something good with hard work, the labor passes quickly, but the good endures. But if you do something shameful in pursuit of pleasure, the pleasure passes quickly, but the shame endures. And I think this can also be directly related to how we eat, how we exercise. So I'm going to throw this out here. We've got to come up with a definition for each one of these. What is the difference between pleasure and satisfaction?
So pleasure, I want that slice of pizza or that hamburger, and it's in the moment temporarily satisfaction, but then I kind of pay for it later. Whereas I could have had, a slice of salmon and some vegetables, and I still enjoy it, and long lasting, I'm healthier, I'm not having to work that off. So
yeah,
I think.
No, I think that's good. I actually, I'm writing another book right now, and I had written a part in the self-control section on satisfaction and what that means to us. And we eat so much and we say it's because I want to be satisfied. But what are the synonyms for satisfaction? Is it heavy breathing? Is it laboring around? Is it being a glutton? Is it feeling lethargic? Is it having, not fitting in your clothes right? Are those synonyms for satisfaction? No, they're the complete opposite. We're not satisfied with any of that. We hate it. Satisfaction comes from eating enough, which we're going to have an eating episode coming up soon, guys. So I'm not trying to go too much into that, but eating enough to where your body feels that it's got the nutrients that it needs. Mm-hmm. And then also having satisfaction in exercise, where you go out and you say, okay, I'm going to put off some of those pleasures. Maybe it's watching TV, or maybe it's going to the ice cream shop. I don't know. But, doing those and saying, no, I want to do this thing that's going to be harder. It's going to take time. It's probably not going to feel good sometimes. But afterwards, I'm going to be satisfied that I did it and I did something good for myself.
Yeah, so I can agree with that.
That's how I see that. All right, thank you, Rufus. Let's go on to our next one here. We cannot have a show without Epictetus. So he says there's a lot to this one and a lot of good. Now is the time to get serious about living your ideals. How long can you afford to put off who you really want to be? Your nobler self cannot wait any longer. Put your principles into practice now. Stop the excuses and the procrastination. This is your life. Decide to be extraordinary and do what you need to do now. Okay, so if I had to pick a teacher that I'd want, it would be, as much as I love Rufus and enjoy it, it would be Epictetus. He seems to just always hit it for me. And let's just unpack this really quick. Now is your time to get serious about living your ideals, implying that if you do not do these things in your life, you're not being serious about living. Mm-hmm. Check yourself. What are your ideals? How long can you afford to put off who you really want to be? and go back to that procrastination. We do that. When we're young, it's very easy. You say, I'm 18 now. I'll do it when I'm 25. I'm 25 now. I can do it when I'm 30. I'm 30. I'll do it when I'm 40. And then 40 rolls around, 45, 50, 55. And then you're like, I don't have any time left. It's going quickly. You know, I've got, if I'm lucky, a couple of decades ahead of me or a few decades ahead of me. So how long are we going to wait to put that off? We have to stop right now and say, this is the moment. The next moment's not coming. This is the moment.
When I talk to my students in class, I say, hey guys, don't wait till you're a grown up because you'll never do it. We talk about life skills with them, and I say, if you don't do it now, you won't do it later. So it's got to become a habit now for you to do it continually into your adulthood. Very good.
What a good example to give to children, because again, one of the reasons why we have the obesity epidemic is not only fast food and parents having to work longer hours and not having time for exercise, but we don't teach our children that we can make healthy choices without having to sacrifice time or money or anything else. So, I know you're going to sit down in front of that TV and watch 2 hours of Paw Patrol or Goof Troop or whatever it is. And you can eat grapes or you can eat some seeds, those kind of things. You don't have to eat candy. You don't have to eat that whole bag of gummy bears. So we can make those little micro changes that set up the future for children for that. So I'm glad you mentioned talking to your students about that.
Yeah, and then they love to turn it right back on you. Let me tell you.
Practice what you preach.
Miss Melinda, are you sure you should be eating that right now? Because if you're eating that, you're not being healthy now. You're not going to be healthy later. So they like to turn it around.
Very good. All right, that you've got your own cheering section, to speak.
They keep me in check.
Reminding you. Good. Another one that he says in the same passage, put your principles into practice now. Don't say, later on I'll be good about this and then I'll handle that. Stop the excuses and the procrastination. This is your life. So, let's just jump into it. 2,000 years ago, they had excuses. What kind of excuses do we make now? Well, rapid fire. We talked about time. Mm-hmm. We talked about relationships. What about jobs?
Jobs, definitely, yeah. Because, as we know in education, it doesn't, you don't just clock out. It continues at home. So sometimes you and I both bring work home sometimes, so.
Okay, so family is getting in my way, relationships getting in my way, jobs getting in my way. What other obligations might we have or things that would get in the way of us living our best, as Epictetus says right now?
Just be very involved, social, like it's healthy. Mm-hmm. It's healthy to be social, but you're out there a lot being involved. Socialization comes with, hey, what are we going to bring to eat? And you're out there and you're going about and doing all these meetups and things, and there's always food and drinks there, so.
Yeah. What about this excuse? I don't wanna. So I want to read just a quick passage from the book, the Octad that I wrote here. This is the section on exercise. It says, the Octad program requires 8 minutes of exercise each day for 8 days. But before you begin, ask how you see exercise. This is an honest question that requires a very honest answer. Your response probably falls within one of these 5 typical responses. So here's your test right now. Which one of these responses best fits you? Number 1, I love exercise. Moving my body keeps me healthy and makes me feel good. All right, that's the one we all want. Want to love exercise and do that. Number 2, more of a reality. I hate exercise. Having to exercise and get sweaty is gross and a waste of time when I have other things to do. That seems like kind of what we've been talking about tonight. Or maybe it's number 3. Exercise is great when I can fit it in, but I'll focus on it more when I have more time. That's kind of sounds like what we've been talking about.
Yeah, that's me right there.
Okay, you're number 3. Number 4, I'm too old, sick, or hurt to exercise anymore. Health is another excuse that we often have.
That's true.
And number 5, what's exercise? Okay, so that's another one on here. But this is the one response, the 6th response, the one we're putting in. Number 6, exercise completes who I am. Can we ever truly feel complete without taking care of our bodies, exercising, having health, moving the way we were intended to move? I think is another important thing too. And the desire to do it could be the biggest excuse of them all. I just don't want to. Yeah. I just don't want to. So, all right, let's move on to our next one here. I love this one from Seneca. He's always got great short quotes. Seneca can get you with almost one-liners, to put it that way. The body is the vehicle of the mind, and physical exercise is the tool to keep it in good working order. And I think of the vehicle of the mind, and then how the body can also operate as a vehicle. So, I mean, obviously, I think the arms and the legs would be like the tires. We'll talk about an automobile for vehicle. Yeah. Those would be the tires. What's the engine? Okay, you say the mind.
The mind.
Okay, I would say the heart, but you're probably right. The mind.
I thought about that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the mind can control the
You're
heart.
right. You're right. So maybe the mind, to me, would be the steering wheel that controls the heart.
That controls the heart, yeah.
Which, or, well, I guess it doesn't really control the engine. It controls the mechanism. Maybe your mind is the on-off switch on the ignition. So I don't know. But either way, if one piece of that breaks down, the whole vehicle doesn't work.
Definitely.
Yet for us, if one piece of us break down, exercise, we still keep the other one pumping. It's still going. It's like driving down the road with 3 tires. Yeah, you can make it to the end of the road, but it's not effective. It's going to destroy your car. It's noisy and terrible, and we hate it. So right away, we've got to get it fixed, but we don't fix our own selves when there's a flat tire, when there's a problem under the hood with our heart or our mind. And so Seneca says it great here, the body is the vehicle of the mind. Without that exercise, without that health, you can't be complete. You're not going to be in good working order for that. All right, very good. I want to throw out another quote here. This is not a Stoic, so to speak, although he does practice a lot of Stoicism techniques. I'm going to tell you who it is after I read it. Okay? So here's our final quote for the evening. Strength does not come from winning. Your struggles develop your strength. When you go through hardships and you decide not to surrender, that's strength. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, very good. Yep, Arnold Schwarzenegger. So, obviously a man who made an entire career on being strong, on bodybuilding, on being the tough guy in movies. But he's talking about winning. And Arnold Schwarzenegger won more than anybody when it came to bodybuilding. He was a champion. But he says that's not the important part. Mm-hmm. It's the strength that comes with it. It's not from winning. It's from the struggle that comes with it. So think of your own self in health struggles that you've had. Struggling to get back on track, but also struggling to exercise and make yourself better for that. Was there a time that you can look on and identify when the struggle helped you have a breakthrough in your own health?
Oof. There was moments. It wasn't just a one time. I think I've struggled off and on. And so I think that helped me realize what I needed to do, what I needed to eliminate, where the boundaries had to come, because it wasn't just a one-time struggle. It's been an off and on. So I really needed to, and that's what I'm working on even right now, guys. I am.
Yeah. We both are.
I can't say I'm fully there. So.
Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah. We have, our path is broad right now that we need to traverse. It's not just, we've got to take a couple of steps and we're there. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things that we have to conquer health-wise in our life. But we're both noticing as we are doing this, and we're following the Octod program, and we're getting healthier and dropping weight and eating better, is all of a sudden the little things we used to complain about are becoming less.
Yeah.
And we're noticing it. I had a hard time getting out of bed in the mornings. My back would creak like an old wooden door as I sat on the edge of the bed. Now the alarm goes off, and I swing over and I stand right up and I get out. That is the kind of thing, and we talk about this in the book as well, but that's the kind of thing that we're looking for with health. Yeah. The flat robot is a liar. It's what I call the scale.
The scale.
That's in there. Any device that can change its reading by where you place it in the house can't be the best judge of your health.
That's true.
You do still need scales. You need scales to give you overall weight and to see the loss and everything, but don't use it every day. It's not a good judge. How do you feel right now? Are you breathing better? Are you looking better? Are your clothes fitting better? Are the aches going away?
Yeah, I struggle with arthritis, have since I was a young kid. So the struggle has been off and on, like I said, but I definitely notice a difference in the way I feel. Obviously, like there's still some issues that I'm still dealing with, like as far as learning what foods or it could be the weather that affects my body. But overall, with more exercise, I do realize the change of how much it actually controls the pains and the aches.
Yeah.
When I'm having flare-ups and stuff like that. So
that's good. You're seeing it positive, and it's not something where you had a goal, quote unquote, in mind, because we don't you operate in goals, we operate in systems. But you said, okay, if I drop 15 pounds, everything's going to be great. You actually started noticing right away with just a little bit of weight loss and a little bit more exercise, a little bit healthier eating, that the benefits were coming pretty immediately.
Yeah.
So, and it goes back to my whole, I always talk about as a house theory. I say, can you move a house to the right 3 feet? Somebody would say, no, it's impossible. Can you move one single brick? Yes, I can. So you're moving the bricks, I'm moving the bricks, but we're seeing the result already with it. So that's good.
Definitely.
My final question for the night, and then I'm going to read one little passage as well that goes with it. But is it good that exercise is hard? We just talked a little bit about the struggle, and Schwarzenegger talked about how the struggle is what develops strength, not winning. Is it good that exercise hard? In a perfect world, if exercise came very easy, where all you had to do is get up from the couch and walk to the refrigerator, and you would have, burned 3,000 calories, that kind of thing. Is it good, though, that it's hard and it's not easy?
I think so. As much as I don't want to say that sometimes, but I think it is. It has definitely helped me have a little more discipline in my life. But then I see the positive outcome because of that. So for me, it's positive discipline. I think that it's good because because then I see if I can overcome that challenge, then I know all the other areas of my life, then I can also do those as well. So, and I won't go into that tonight, but yeah.
Very good. I think we as human beings are driven by accomplishment, either externally or internally. Some people live for praise of others. Some people just want to feel inside that they've done something and they've accomplished it. If exercise was easy, it wouldn't be an accomplishment. It would just be an everyday task like walking or eating for that. But there is something good that comes out of it. I want to read you, again, just another little section from my book on the section of exercise. It says, we explore another aspect, feeling life in your body. To the Greeks, exercise was a must. Athletes would train for the Olympics doggedly, putting in exercise and training routines that could last from dawn into the night. It was what they needed to feel alive. The pain was progressing as they felt their muscles tear and rebuild. Fatigue was replaced with stamina. Scrawny bodies were replaced with strong muscles and strong calves. Epictetus says, and if you form the habit of taking such exercise, you will see what mighty shoulders you develop, what sinews, and what vigor. Of course, with all exercise, there can be some pain and discomfort as our body changes into what we wish it to be. This is good pain. This is necessary pain. This pain is life rebreathed into your joints and your muscles. And it is telling us that we are being reformed into something better. And so that is what we're talking about. Feeling the struggle in the best way. It's good that this was hard. It's good that I overcame it. It's good that I stand back and look at myself just 30 minutes ago before I exercised, and I'm a better person right now. That's how immediate it is. When we make excuses and we don't do it, we let ourselves fall into a routine that can only destroy us. As Epictetus said, how long are we going to wait until we make ourselves better? Because there is a finite amount of time in this life, and the waiting is done, no matter where you're at in your journey. All right, everybody. Thank you guys so much for listening to this week's podcast. We are going to go exercise right now. We actually are. We're going to go exercise. thank you for being on here as always, my wonderful wife and support. And let me tell you, having a good support when you exercise is a good thing. So thank you for that.
I do it afraid, and I do it through the pain.
There you go. It's the way to do it for sure. Thank you guys always. Always we want to just promote that an intelligent mind creates intelligent health. And that's what we're looking for. Until next time, guys, thanks for listening. Semper Studiosus, and we will see you next time.